Welcome to this channel, Global Happenstance. Here we react, reflect, and respond to the world's most viral videos and global trending events. From shocking headlines to inspiring moments, we break it all down, one reaction at a time. Stay tuned and don't forget to comment, share, and subscribe.
Good evening, my brothers, my sisters, my elders. Today, inside these marble halls of the United Nations, history pauses. The General Assembly is in its 80th year. The same pageantry, the same protocols. Yet on this day, a young man from a landlocked nation stands at the edge of humiliation. I am Ibrahim Traoré, President of Burkina Faso. They expect me to read a confession not written by my own hand, a 12-page script drafted in Paris, in Washington, and Tel Aviv. It is meant to break me, to bend me before the watching world. But I did not come here to bow my head. I came here carrying not just my own name, but the memory of a continent that has endured centuries of fire. I know the weight of this moment, heavier than any medal or crown. Hundreds of leaders fix their gaze upon me, their eyes sharp as verdicts. Beyond these walls, millions are watching, holding their breath, waiting to see whether I will rise or crumble. Before me on this lectern lies a single file, a thin folder, yet filled with decades of betrayal, compromise, and shame. Its pages carry the ink of agreements signed under duress, of promises traded for silence. The air in this hall is thick, heavier than any applause could ever be. Not a whisper, not a cough, only the echo of my heartbeat in my ears. On every face, I see the same unspoken question etched like a scar. Is this the fall of a young president or the birth of a symbol? A leader who broke under pressure, or a man who stood so still the earth began to move around him? And I wonder if our ancestors, the ones who walked barefoot through fire, who refused chains even when it meant death, could see this instant, what would they call it? Would they brand it surrender, another page in the book of our humiliation? Or would they see in it the tremor of something new, the first breath of freedom, raw and unsteady but undeniable? This moment is not just mine, it belongs to the miners and farmers, the mothers and students, the soldiers who chose hunger over betrayal, the children who still dream under broken roofs. It belongs to every name whispered in struggle, every grave left unmarked. Here, under the cold glare of these lights, I carry them all. And whatever happens when I open my mouth, whether my words ignite or silence, history will judge not my posture, but my choice. I know the weight of this moment. It is heavier than any crown that could be placed upon my head, heavier than any chain that could be fastened to my wrists. Hundreds of leaders stare at me from their seats, each of them cloaked in power, calculation, and expectation. Their gazes do not merely observe, they weigh, they measure, they search for signs of weakness or resolve. Beyond these walls, millions watch across the globe, in crowded cafes and dimly lit living rooms, in villages where a single flickering screen has gathered a crowd. They lean forward not just to see a speech, but to witness a turning point. Before me lies a single file on this lectern. To the eye it is thin, almost ordinary, but I know its contents are anything but. Its pages are a history of deals and betrayals, signatures made under duress, concessions dressed up as progress. It is a ledger of our dignity, sold line by line, in exchange for illusions of security and prosperity. It is the weight of decisions made long before I stood here, yet it is mine to answer for now. The silence in this hall is a living thing. It presses against my skin, denser than any applause, more deafening than any outcry. It is the silence of people holding their breath, of centuries hanging suspended between one heartbeat and the next. On every face I read the same question carved into their features. Is this the fall of a young president, or the birth of a symbol? Will I become another name in the long list of those who promised and then yielded? Or will this be the instant where something larger than one man begins? And in the quiet, I think of those who came before. Our ancestors, who walked barefoot through fire, who spoke freedom when the price was death, who who sang in chains so their children might one day stand. If they could see this moment, this hall, these lights, this frail folder between my hands, how would they name it? Would they call it surrender, another carefully staged humiliation, or would they see it as something else? The trembling, defiant first breath of freedom, because this moment does not belong only to me. It belongs to the farmers whose fields have been stripped, to the miners who vanish into shafts of darkness, to the mothers who bury their sons with calloused hands and unbroken eyes. It belongs to the students who dare to question, to the soldiers who chose hunger over betrayal, to the children who dream under roofs cracked by rain, but not by resignation. I am here because of them, and I carry them like a chorus inside me. I feel the pulse of history in my chest. I feel its eyes on my back, urging me, warning me, and I understand that whatever words I choose next, whether they bring fire or calm, whether they are met with cheers or condemnation, they will not be measured only as a speech, they will be measured as a choice to bow or to stand, to perpetuate or to break. This is not just an address, it is a crossing, and on the far side of this crossing something will be born, either another page of compromise or the beginning of a different story, one written not in the ink of treaties, but in the breath of a free people. This so-called confession accuses Burkina Faso of destabilizing our region, of undermining international peace, of obstructing cooperation. It demands acknowledgement, apology, submission. The logic is clear. If the young president bows, our rebellion against foreign dictates will collapse. Burkina Faso will return to the fold, chastened and silent. For some in this room, that is the evening's expected climax. For them, my age makes me a convenient target. Barely past my mid-30s, I am one of the youngest heads of state to mount this platform. Many doubt my endurance. Some whisper I am reckless. Others predict I will not last a year in office, and yet here I stand, not merely surviving, but standing at the very heart of world diplomacy. This silence is not ordinary silence. It is the hush of anticipation, like the pause before Western delegations lean forward expecting compliance. African delegations sit straighter, hoping for defiance, but fearing betrayal. Cameras hover, feeding live images into homes and offices across the globe. Every gesture, every flicker of my eyes is being studied. I approach the podium with steady steps. My uniform is plain, stripped of medals, a soldier's attire rather than a statesman's robe. I carry no notes of my own, only the file they have placed before me. I adjust the microphone. For a heartbeat, the entire hall freezes. Will I lift the paper and read the words forced upon me? Will I sign my own submission before the watching world? Or will I discard this script of humiliation and write one of my own? Every president before me has known the weight of compromise, the necessity of diplomacy, but compromise did not bring me to this stage. I come from a country often dismissed as small, landlocked, irrelevant. Yet Burkina Faso has bled in battles against insurgents, has buried leaders who dared speak of dignity. My very presence at this podium continues a line traced back through Sankara, through Lumumba, through every African voice silenced before its time. I look down at the file they have placed before me. For a long second, it might seem I will lift it, unfold the confession, and let the humiliation play out. Instead, with one deliberate motion, I close it, pressing the pages flat against the wood. The act is quiet, but in that silence, the chamber shifts. The defendant has just rejected the prosecutor's script. Now my voice rises, calm at first, then sharper with every phrase. Let us speak, I say, of the first great crime. My words carry not just to the microphones, but into the memory of centuries. I speak of the transatlantic slave trade, 12 million Africans torn from their homes, shackled in iron, forced across oceans. This is not distant history, it is the foundation of Western empires. The wealth of cotton, of sugar, of coffee was built not on labor, but on blood. Delegates shift in their seats. This is not the language of diplomacy, this is indictment. The second crime is financial slavery. I speak of the CFA, franc, a currency still chained to Paris. For decades, African nations have been compelled to deposit half of our foreign reserves in the French treasury, more than $500 billion withheld from our hands. Some in the French delegation avoid eye contact, for once the accusation is backed by numbers too precise to dismiss. I turn to Rwanda, the third crime, genocide. 800,000 lives lost in 100 days of fire and machetes. I do not flinch in naming France as protector of those who carried out this act. The air grows tense. Translators hesitate, the weight of every syllable pressing down on the chamber. The fourth crime is the debt that strangles us. Africa's external debt surpasses $685 billion, nearly $90 billion in repayments due this very year. We borrow not to live but to survive, while our children die not from illness, but from the price of medicine. The cold arithmetic of exploitation is laid bare. Then agriculture, the fifth crime, the destruction of our fields. Ghanaian cocoa farmers ruined by forced liberalization while Nestle and Cargill pocket billions. When our farmers fall, their corporations rise. The sixth crime is the murder of our leaders. Patrice Lumumba in Congo, 1961. Thomas Sankara in Burkina Faso, 1987. When our leaders spoke of dignity, they were buried, but their voices rise still through us. I do not pause. The seventh crime, the Cold War. Dictators like Mobutu were armed while millions starved. We received weapons instead of bread. Then oil, the eighth crime, the plundering of Nigeria. I name Exxon Mobil, Total. Rivers poisoned, soil toxic. 30 million people condemned to a life expectancy barely reaching 50. The ninth crime, foreign bases. 29 American military sites, 10 French bases still planted in African soil. They call it stability, but every base is another chain upon our sovereignty. Finally, my voice sharpens to a blade. The 10th crime is the manipulation of human rights. Zimbabwe condemned, Sudan sanctioned, yet Chad and Gabon spared because they serve foreign interests. For them, human rights are not principles, they are weapons. By the time my 10th charge falls into the chamber, the atmosphere has transformed. This hall is no longer a stage for polite speeches, it is a courtroom, and the West stands accused. Yet, I am not finished. My eyes sweep across the delegations. I call names. Emmanuel Macron, you inherit not merely a presidency, but an empire of colonizers. The French delegation stiffens. Donald Trump, you turn trade and oil into bargaining chips bought with blood. You claim greatness, but it is paid with suffering, not your own. American diplomats freeze, expressionless. Then I strike at finance itself. To the directors of the International Monetary Fund, you wear the mask of development, but you are wardens of a financial prison. The silence that follows is heavier than thunder, and still my voice carries. We ask no pity. We demand justice. When the last word leaves my lips, the chamber does not erupt in applause. It does not descend into chaos. Instead, a silence deeper than any roar presses upon the room. The silence of unease, of guilt, of truths that cannot be denied. Western delegates avoid one another's eyes. Some scribble furiously, as if notes can shield them from accusation. Others fold their hands, frozen in place. Across the African bloc, shoulders straighten, eyes sharpen. The silence for them is victory. I know already what the United Nations will do. Within hours, officials will announce that my speech will not be entered into the official record, citing procedural irregularities. But censorship in the digital age is a sieve. By nightfall, the full transcript will leak online. Screens will light up in Nairobi and Lagos. In Johannesburg, students will project my words onto university walls. We ask for no pity. We demand justice. Social media will ignite like dry brush meeting flame. Hashtags bearing my name will surge across Africa, trending not only in French and English, but in Swahili, Yoruba, Wolof, Zulu. Commentators will call it the most defiant African address since the age of decolonization. I can already imagine the diaspora echoing this fire. In Paris, young Africans will march past the Eiffel Tower with placards reading, "Traoré speaks for us." In London, chants of "No more chains" will ring through Trafalgar Square. In New York and Washington, African American leaders will speak of the resonance with their own history, comparing my defiance to the oratory of civil rights preachers. Churches in Atlanta and Detroit will read passages from my address aloud as though they are scripture, but not all response will be celebration. In policy circles, from Washington to Brussels, whispers of alarm will spread. Analysts will warn of a dangerous precedent. If a small landlocked nation can defy the script, others might follow. Could this speech ignite a chorus of voices refusing the language of dependency? Western media will scramble to shape the narrative. Some outlets will dismiss it as theater, the outburst of an inexperienced leader. Others will note its undeniable historical weight, even as they hesitate to endorse my claims. Cable news anchors will debate late into the night. Was this recklessness, or was it the moral conversation of our time? One fact will remain unshakable. This speech cannot be buried. The silence of the chamber will give way to the noise of the streets, the hum of online platforms, the echo in houses of worship. What began as a carefully staged confession will become a wildfire of defiance. And yet, amid the chants and the hashtags, a deeper question will linger. The world will have heard my indictment, but what will come of it? By dawn the next morning, I will no longer be merely the president of Burkina Faso. I will have become something larger, something uncontained by borders or titles. What was planned as a humiliating spectacle will have turned into a transformation so swift that even my enemies struggle to grasp it. I know the risks. Western powers rarely accept humiliation without response. Whispers will spread of sanctions, of financial pressure, even of plots to remove me by force. The ghosts of Lumumba and Sankara will linger in every discussion, reminders that courage alone does not guarantee survival. Within Africa, too, the test is not simple. Pride can unify, but it can also divide. Some leaders will welcome this wave of dignity. Others will fear that my flame might ignite fires they cannot control. Still, I tell you, after this day, the world can no longer pretend Africa will sit silently. Whether in triumph or in tragedy, I will have made sure of that. History rarely announces its turning points. They arrive disguised as ordinary moments, only later revealed as fire. What was meant to be a confession has become a charge sheet. What was meant to be humiliation has become defiance. And so I close with these words. We did not ask permission to be free. We stood up to claim it. In those words live the lessons of dignity, memory, courage, and identity. Dignity, that true strength comes not from recognition, but from refusing to bow. Memory, that the past is not erased, it breathes through generations. Courage, that one honest voice can carry farther than 1,000 empty declarations. Identity, that freedom begins the moment we stop imitating and start embracing who we are. Some will call this speech rumor, others will swear it truth. The United Nations may choose not to publish it, yet whether fact or fable, it will spread as history itself. Because history is not only what is recorded in documents, it is also what burns in memory, what circulates in whispers, what marches in the streets. The question then is not whether I spoke these words. The question is what you will do with them. Will you let them pass as a headline forgotten by tomorrow's news, or will you take them as a vow, a reminder that justice cannot wait for permission? To you, the listener, I offer a challenge. In your own life, are you waiting for permission? Or are you ready to stand and claim what is right? If my story moves you, carry forward one word, justice, or freedom, or simply black gold. Let the world know which flame you will carry forward, because freedom is never given, it is seized by those who dare to demand.